Now, we would like to begin the 18th Kawasaki International Eco-Business Forum. My name is Matsuura of Kawasaki Environment Research Institute. I will serve as the moderator of this forum. Today's forum is being broadcasted both in Japanese and English. First of all, let me explain the purpose of this forum. The Kawasaki Environmental Research Institute aims at creating a sustainable urban model where industry and the environment are in harmony. For this purpose, in cooperation with the United Nations Environment Programme, we promote international contributions by utilizing excellent environmental technologies of Kawasaki companies and cities' experience in environmental conservation. In this forum, we provide some topics and have a panel discussion on how the circular economy should be and what issues need to be addressed in order to achieve a carbon-free and net-zero society in the future. In this forum, we would like to invite panelists from the Ministry of Environment and the UNEP, as well as companies that are practicing resource recycling in the Kawasaki waterfront area, and have a panel discussion coordinated by Professor Tsuyoshi Fujita of the Department of Urban Engineering, Graduate School of Engineering, University of Tokyo, for offering information on the development of a new circular economy toward a net-zero society, both at home and abroad. On the opening, Mr. Norihiko Fukuda, Mayor of Kawasaki City, will give a few words of greeting.
皆さんこんにちは。川崎市長の福田紀彦でございます。本日は第18回目となる川崎国際エコビジネスフォーラムをご視聴いただきまして誠にありがとうございます。このフォーラムは国連環境計画をはじめとする関係機関の皆様の協力を得ながら、市内企業の優れた環境技術や国内外の先進的な環境政策の情報交換の場として2005年から開催しております。近年では気候変動に象徴される環境問題が私たちの生活にも大きく影響し、これまでのライフスタイルや社会・経済の在り方を見直す機運が高まっています。本市におきましても、市民、事業者、行政が一体となって取り組む脱炭素戦略、川崎カーボンゼロチャレンジ2050を策定し、2050年の脱炭素社会の実現に向け、さまざまな取り組みを開始したところでございます。産業都市でもある川崎市にとって、脱炭素社会の実現は大きなチャレンジではございますが、こうした状況の変化をチャンスと捉えて、皆様と一緒に取り組んでまいりたいと思います。本フォーラムを通じて、都市と産業の共生に向けた新しい視点やアイデアを川崎市から発信し、皆様と共有できれば幸いです。結びに、皆様のご参加とご協力に深く感謝をいたしまして、私の挨拶とさせていただきます。
Next, we have a keynote speech by Mr. Stephen Stone, Deputy Director of Economy Division of UNEP. The United Nations Environment Programme, established in 1972, is a principal environmental agency of the United Nations and serves as an authority on global environmental protection. The headquarters of the UNEP is in Nairobi, Kenya, and in Japan as a legacy of the International Garden and Greenery Exposition held in 1990. The UNEP International Environmental Technology Center was established in Osaka in 1992, based on the invitation by the Japanese government. UNEP International Environmental Technology Center is primarily engaged in promoting the transfer of appropriate environmental technologies to developing countries. Since 2011, the center has focused on waste management and has become a global center of excellence for promoting appropriate technologies in the field of waste management. Today, it is involved in the development and implementation of waste management strategies in developing countries and implement projects on climate change and waste management and gender issues, e-waste, COVID-19 related waste management, mercury waste management under the Minamata Convention, and the UNEP Sustainability Action for creating a sustainable society and other projects from multifaceted approaches. The relationship between UNEP and our city began in 2003 with a meeting between the mayor of Kawasaki City and the director general of the UNEP. It's been 18 years since then. During this period, we have been working together to share our knowledge and know-how and to disseminate information both in Japan and abroad through the Eco Business Forum organized by our city in cooperation with the UNEP Eco Town project. We appreciate their cooperation for this forum as a co-organizer. Now, we would like to have a keynote speech by Mr. Stephen Stone, Deputy Director of the Economy Division, UNEP, titled Circularity to Combat the Triple Planetary Crisis.
Thank you very much for this invitation to speak at the 18th Kawasaki International Eco-Business Forum. My name is Stephen Stone. I work for the UN Environment Program, and I'm the head of the Resources and Markets branch here at UNEP. I have three key messages for you here today. When it comes to circularity, there are three key messages I want to share with you. The first is that we are confronted with a triple planetary crisis of magnitudes that have not been seen before. This triple planetary crisis is in three dimensions. It revolves around an increasingly unstable climate, nature loss, and also rising toxicity and pollution. This triple planetary crisis has huge environmental, social, and economic implications, and we need to act urgently for our future. Just think back to the summer of 2021, when there were severe weather conditions and climate conditions around the Northern Hemisphere, affecting hundreds of thousands of people. We witnessed these situations such as flooding in Germany, wildfires in the United States, heavy rains and landslides in Japan, unseasonal temperatures reaching 40, 50 degrees Celsius in parts of the world that have never seen those kinds of temperatures before. The sixth assessment report of the United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change that came out in August 21 says it is unequivocal that human influence has warmed the atmosphere, the ocean, and the land. The science cannot be clearer. The changes are widespread, they are rapid, and they are intensifying. In 2018 alone, damages from climate-related natural disasters cost around US $155 billion. Because of intense weather and climate-related disasters, more than 143 million people were forced to move from their homes, effectively becoming climate migrants. The science is crystal clear. Unfortunately, climate instability is not the only crisis that we are currently facing. It is a triple planetary crisis. The second part has to deal with nature loss. We are witnessing nature loss across so many different parts of our ecosystems. A recent report from IPBS, the International Panel on Biodiversity and Ecosystem Services, estimates more than 1 million species are at risk of loss. And only think back to COVID-19 pandemic, where shrinking habitats led to a zoonotic disease which jumped from animals to humans. With increasing habitat loss, there will be more pressure and more zoonoses and more risks of these types of viruses jumping from animals to humans. The burden of environmental decline is felt by everyone, but disproportionately by the poor and the vulnerable, and it looms over today's youth and future generations. The impact of collapse in certain ecosystems is likely to be unequal across countries and income groups as well. Particularly sub-Saharan Africa and South Asia are disproportionately affected. An estimated 1.2 billion jobs depend on the effective management and sustainability of ecosystems, and 70% of people living in poverty depend on natural resources for their livelihoods. When these ecosystems are in danger, when nature is lost, it is the poor who suffer first. And think of this, a full 44%, nearly half of our global GDP, is dependent on nature. The third part of the triple planetary crisis is pollution. Pollution crisis is a toxic trail from our economic growth. Pollution and waste, which results every year in premature deaths of millions of people around the world. Think of this, more than 90% of the world's population currently breathes air which is polluted and exceeds WHO guidelines. Humanity is literally poisoning the air, the land, and the water with toxic gases, plastics, pesticides, and wastes of all kinds, causing the pollution and a waste crisis. Up to 400 million tons of heavy metals, solvents, toxic sludge, and other industrial wastes enter the world's waters annually. Each year, we generate over 2 billion tons of municipal solid waste, and 50% of that goes to open dumping sites that are not environmentally soundly managed. Around 2 billion people still lack access to proper solid waste collection, and 3 billion people still lack access to controlled waste disposal sites. And here's another alarming statistic. More than half of the plastic in the world has been produced in the years since the year 2000. More than half. Each year, more than 300 million tons of plastic waste are produced. That's almost equivalent to the entire weight of the human population each year in plastic waste. Colleagues, we are faced with a triple planetary crisis, but there's many things that we can do about it. And at the UN Environment Programme, we are working with partners from around the world, such as colleagues like yourself here at the Kawasaki Eco Business Forum, to make change happen. So my second message is, circularity and the circular economy is a pathway to combat the triple planetary crisis. There is a common thread that runs through the triple planetary crisis, and that root, it is the unsustainable patterns of consumption and production that are causing these climate instabilities, these nature losses, and this rising toxicity and pollution. It's our linear economy of make, take, and waste, which is causing so many of these liabilities and risks to accumulate in our economies, in our societies, and in our health, in our bodies. There's a very interesting report from the Circular Economy Group in the Netherlands called the Circularity Gap Report. It looks at the overall circularity of our economies, and it looks at the 90 to 100 billion tons of raw materials that are extracted every year and then turned into goods and services that we consume and use every year to keep our lives getting better. Essentially, these are goods and services that flow through our economy and create that 90 to 100 trillion dollar economy that provides jobs and human well-being. But it also provides tremendous amounts of waste and liabilities, including CO2 emissions and all kinds of waste. Addressing the circular economy is the way forward. We know that making our economies more circular could unlock, according to one study, $4.5 trillion worth of economic benefits by just turning current waste streams into reusable materials by 2030. Waste can be a resource that is currently underutilized. A circular economy could also unlock $1 billion in previously wasted value by transforming material management and manufacturing and creating 6 million new jobs through activities like recycling, repair, rent, remanufacture. There's a huge economic upside to the circular economy. The 9 R's are key, and UNEP's been working in this space for many, many years. I would encourage you to go to the website www.buildingcircularity.org to look at how UNEP conceives of and works on the circular economy. The first of the 9 R's is refuse. If you see a single-use plastic product that's not entirely necessary, refuse. Packaging that you don't need, refuse. Refuse, reduce, reuse, recycle, repurpose, remanufacture. There are many, many ways to bring circularity into our economies. UNEP's been working on circularity for a long time with partners like Japan and Europe and across the world, and have recently launched with these partners the Global Alliance for Circular Economy and Resource Efficiency. I encourage you to look at the Global Alliance as a go-to place for knowledge on bringing the circular economy into a reality in our days. Colleagues, my last message for today is there are 5 game changers that can accelerate the transition to circularity. They're all very important. The first is to look at sustainable consumption and production as the very core of our economy. SDG 12, responsible consumption and production, it talks about the real economy. It's what we produce and consume. It's also the most neglected of the Sustainable Development Goals. We all need to do our part to raise consciousness about SDG 12 and sustainable consumption and production. Second, governance. There's a wave of new measures across the world to extend producer responsibility, to bring more transparency into products using digital product passports, to use life cycle analysis to track provenance and waste streams that flow from the goods that we produce and consume. Governance measures can help us bring circularity and bend the curve of our linear economies. The third part is shifting finance. There are so many examples of ways that we could use finance better. Just think of the various subsidies that are in place around the world. Fossil fuel subsidies, around $400 billion a year for fossil fuel subsidies, which are aggravating the climate instability, the climate crisis. Agricultural subsidies, around $540 billion a year, over 2/3 of which can be classified as harmful to human health and to the environment, according to a new study produced by FAO, UNEP, and UNDP just 2 weeks ago before the UN Food Summit. And then think about all the upsides for the financial system to invest in circularity. Assets managed through public equity funds with a circular economy focus have increased by more than 6-fold from around $300 million to over $2 billion since the beginning of 2020 for 6 months. So there is a large upside to investing in the circular economy. Fourth, investing in knowledge, skills, and training is crucial for the circular economy because it's essentially about putting more emphasis on people and less on consuming resources. It's about creating jobs and using fewer resources. And in a place like Japan, which has been resource efficient for so many years, you have a lot to offer in this space. You are a world leader already. And when I think about the recovery packages from COVID-19, the rescue and recovery packages, the fiscal packages, there's a lot of spending as well, which can be placed on R&D, research and development, and digital connectivity, which helps build our knowledge and skills for training and circularity. Fifth and last driver for circularity is environmentally sound management of waste. Our colleagues from UNEP in Japan have been working in this area for many, many years with the support of Japan. And there are huge strides that we can make because by reducing waste and turning waste into a resource, we are actually beginning to bend the curve of our linear economies. The 2 billion tons of municipal solid waste we dispose of annually could have a $2 to $3 billion potential resource value. It's in unlocking that value that we make the circular economy a reality. Colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, today is an important day, and this conference is an important conference because now more than ever, we can see that circularity is a solution set to the triple planetary crisis. And we see that solutions are within our fingertips, but it will require our ingenuity, it will require our resolve, it will require tenacity to make the circular economy a reality. I encourage all of you at today's Eco Forum to think how we can bring our ingenuity, our persistence, our tenacity to this challenge of making the circular economy a reality today. Thank you very much for this opportunity, and I wish you all the best for this Eco Business Forum.
Now, we will move on to the panel discussion. From the Secretariat, there is housekeeping information. From now on, we have a panelist presentation and panel discussion. And for asking questions, the chat box of the Ecotech Fair website is not available. If you would like to ask a question, please enter the YouTube site directly from the URL of YouTube Live at the bottom of the screen and enter your question through the chat function there. Now, I would like to introduce the coordinator of this session and hand over the facilitation to him. I would like to introduce Professor Tsuyoshi Fujita of the Department of Urban Engineering and Graduate School of Engineering, the University of Tokyo. Professor Fujita, please.
Thank you for the introduction. Hello, everyone. Well, thank you very much for joining us at the Kawasaki Eco Business Forum. Earlier, as Mr. Stone said, this is a very important conference, and so the circularity, the circular economy, something that Mr. Stone said that it's important and how to let it take root in the society, and towards net zero and carbon neutrality, and as been discussed in the Glasgow, how to connect to those the results. Would be made possible with the pathway of the circular economy. And we have invited 5 panelists to talk about this topic today. And I'm the coordinator. I would like to introduce you the 5 panelists.
First of all, we have Mr. Takaaki Ito, Director, Office for the Promotion of Sound Material Circular Economy of the Ministry of Environment. And thank you very much. This is Ito. And from the companies, first speaker is Mr. Hiroshi Toyosaki, the Head of Environment Group, Sustainability Promotion Department of Ajinomoto Company Incorporated. This is Toyosaki of Ajinomoto. Thank you very much. The third speaker is Mr. Tsunekichi Kuriyama, General Manager of KPR Promotion Office of Showa Denko. Thank you very much. This is Kuriyama of Showa Denko. And the fourth, Mr. Tetsuo Tsuiguchi, President and CEO of J&T Recycling Corporation. I'm Tsuiguchi of J&T Recycling Corporation. Thank you very much. And the fifth panelist is Mr. Shunichi Honda, Program Officer of International Environmental Technology Center of UNEP. Thank you very much. This is Honda of UNEP. And from each of the panelists, we will have a presentation. And after that, we have a panel discussion. And all this is ongoing on a real-time basis. And as explained by the Secretariat, when you ask a question, please use the chat function so that although the time is limited, so we might not be able to answer all of your questions, but we will have a Q&A session later. So first of all, I would like to explain the purpose of this panel discussion.
And so there are 2 keywords today. One is a circular economy, and the other is the net zero and decarbonized society. And so this is the diagram of the Kawasaki, map of Kawasaki. And in Kawasaki, in fact, the circular economy, for the first time in Japan or perhaps in the world, the circular economy was started for the first time. And this is what experts think around the world. And as mentioned earlier, so rather than the production process that has a one-way process to rely on the fossil fuel, there's the initiative to circulate the economy has been tried since in Kawasaki since about 25 years ago. And this shows the eco-town project that has been started since 1997 by Ministry of the Environment. And so you can see the mapping of the eco-town. So the project itself has been completed. But in the past 10 years, there's the 60 billion yen Japanese yen of the investment made. And about 3 times more private sector investment was made, and so out of these 224 eco-towns, extremely successful results was achieved. There are different types of eco-towns. There are some urban types, and also the forest type, and also industry type. In that, the Kawasaki eco-town is one of the top runners, along with the Kita-Kyushu city, which is accepted worldwide, and there are more than 20 companies have joined leagues to achieve the ideal as described in this diagram. So there are a number of industries, and there's a circulation of the resources and water and energy, and to create and materialize their zero emission zone. And this is only available in English, but there are about 10 research institutes have studied with the city of Kawasaki. And as you see, so there's the steel works and cement industry, and also the food, chemistry, chemical industry. So we call this the Circular Economy Network. And in the world, this is the Circular Economy Network is already materialized, which we can be proud of in this city of Kawasaki. So there will be presentations on the different practices, so about the towards the net zero and the circular economy from the different perspectives, such as the companies and also the government. And this is my last slide. I think there are 3 points of view. One is the resource circulation along with the economic circulation. So in Kawasaki, there are concentrations of the energy facilities, and if we try to do so, then we will be able to reduce the emission by 30%. And so from the material circulation, Kawasaki City has the potential to turn it into net zero or decarbonization. And the other point is the SDGs, and the SDG 12 is about the recycling and also the waste management. And but it expands to the energy issue number 7, and also climate change, and also the plastic issue. And so from Kawasaki City, Eco Town, and also the industrial complex, there will be a number of SDGs initiatives that can be practiced. And the third point is the international cooperation. And Kawasaki City has already been in a collaborative relationship with a number of overseas municipalities and institutions. And this is the case of the collaboration between the Kawasaki City and the Shenyang City to implement the Eco Town projects. And this was supported by the Ministry of the Environment as well. And they have similar practices with the municipalities in Indonesia, for instance. And so there will be the presentation first from the Ministry of the Environment Director, Mr. Ito, and then followed by the members from the private sectors, and also to talk about the well-advanced initiatives than what I've just elaborated, and far more advanced than the examples presented by Mr. Stone as well. And so such advanced initiatives will be explained by the representatives of 3 private sector companies. And the last presenter will be Mr. Honda from UNEP to talk about the Kawasaki City's potential contribution to the circular economy across the world in the international arena. So these will be the topics today. So this is the the introduction of the purpose of the panel discussion. Then we would like to call upon the speakers. And the first speaker will be Mr. Takaaki Ito, the Director of Office for Promotion of Sound Material Cycle Society, Environmental Regeneration Material Cycles Bureau, Ministry of the Environment, Japan, to talk about overview of measures on circular economy in Japan. Thank you very much. Once again, my name is Ito from Ministry of the Environment, Japan. Thank you for the kind introduction. I have some slides, so please take a look at them. So please go to the next slide. So, as Mr. Stone of the UNEP said earlier, the mankind are faced with the three crises: the climate change and the nature depletion, and also the pollution. And in order to address these three crises, we need to make our social activities more sustainable and resilient, and we need to redesign the way we live. And in order to carry out the redesign, Ministry of the Environment of Japan are carrying out the following three activities: the decarbonized society, circular economy, and decentralized society. So these are the pillars for the transitions. And these are not independent from each other. Rather, they are closely linked with each other. Earlier, in the Glasgow COP26 conference, also Japan, the Ministry of the Environment, the Holland government, and UNEP, we worked together to we organized a side event about the circular economy and decarbonized society, and we once again recognize that the circular economy is a must for us to be sustainable and resilient. Next page, please. And in regards to the carbon neutral 2050, towards 2050, and the net zero by 2050 is the target that the Japanese government has set out. And how to achieve has been studied. In August this year, there's the mid and long-term scenario draft was issued, and this shows the direction of policies and also the systems and legislations that would enable the measures now being discussed. By 2050, the incineration of the solid waste may be much reduced, but it cannot be completely eliminated. So a small portion of the solid waste will still have to be incinerated, but the minimum amount of the solid waste will be incinerated in order to capture the CO2 emission. Then the CCUS is being studied, and with the technological advancement and innovation, we will consider how to achieve the net zero and also the circulation of the waste. And we would like to demonstrate our ideas going forward. And internationally, in 2021 has been a very important year in which the circular economy was taken up as an important topic. I would like to introduce you two meetings in that regard. G7 Climate and Environment Ministers meeting was held in May this year. In this conference or the meeting, the circular economy topics were taken up in many occasions, and Japan made the proposal, which is the development of circular economy and resource efficiency principles. And this was also included in the joint statement. And this proposal applies to the global organizations, and also the corporations will use this proposal so that they can include this idea into their corporate vision, so that the practical activities of the companies will be encouraged. And the concrete building in of this proposal into the government policy will happen next year, will start next year. So we would like to, as a government, we would like to bring out the principle, the background of the circular economy activities. The second is the G20 Environment Ministers meeting, and there's been a number of the targets and also the criteria and also the examples were shared in this venue. And Japan also shared the information relevant national indicators, targets, and best practices in all of these areas to strengthen policy development and by further developing its portal. And this was widely appreciated. And we are working on the development of this portal as we speak, and we would like to announce this next year sometime. And so with the cooperation with many countries, we would like to deepen our understanding also the initiatives towards the circular economy. So there's a major current running for and towards the circular economy. And there are two major movements in Japan about the circular economy. So I would like to explain to you. The circular economy involves or targets at a number of materials. And from the marine pollution point of view, the plastic is gathering a lot of attention. So in June, the Plastic Resource Circulation Act was established, and this will be enacted in June next year. So we are preparing for that. And for the first time, this act focuses on the plastic as a material, and in the life cycle stages, the effective use will be encouraged. And for that matter, a number of measures are proposed. Please look at the next slide. So this slide explains the Japan Partnership for a Circular Economy. And in March this year, the Ministry of the Environment, Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry, and Keidanren established the public-private partnership on circular economy, and to discuss and also collect the information and examples of the circular economy and share that information. And also, in order to proceed with the circular economy, identifying the problems and finding solutions will be important. So this will be achieved from the dialogue. As the first, the deliverables, there have been 131 cases were made available. And as you see in the bottom of the slide, there was a brochure also was compiled to explain in Japanese and English the 28 noteworthy cases. And also, we are starting up this dialogue already, and through the candid exchanges, we would like to keep finding out good examples and good ideas. This concludes my presentation. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ito. So next speaker is from Ajinomoto. Mr. Toyosaki, please. Thank you very much. This is Toyosaki. And I would like to talk about the Ajinomoto Group initiatives to address sustainability challenges. And glutamic acid was discovered by Kikunai Ikeda, and company founder is Saburosuke Suzuki. And through umami, they wanted to improve the nutrition of Japanese, and this aspiration at the founding has been succeeded up to now. And amino acid, by using that function, we cover Japanese food and overseas food and life support and the healthcare and supplement. So we have a wide range of those businesses. And in more than 130 countries and regions, we sell our products, and we have 120 factories around the world. So we are operating widely around the world. And Ajinomoto Group is solving issues of food and health and associated with eating habits and aging. And we are targeting on two objectives: reduce environmental impact by 50% and extend healthy life of 1 billion people. We would like to achieve both by 2030. So these two outcomes are quite interrelated each other. The Ajinomoto Group business activities are based on the resources on the Earth's environment. So reducing load on the global environment, Ajinomoto Group cannot continue our businesses. So in our business activities, we are trying to reduce load on the global environment, and also by solving environmental issues, we promote the food resources so that we can keep sustainable food system, and that is an important thing for us to do. On the other hand, in the current food systems, there are various challenges. The greenhouse gas emission and food waste, food loss and plastic waste, and also water resource, human rights, biodiversity loss. In the entire value chain, there are many different types of issues like these. And under such circumstances, Ajinomoto Group had set these midterm plan goals in the environmental area. And just briefly, I would like to touch upon the greenhouse gas, plastic waste reduction, and food loss reduction. I would like to explain them today. And first, for the CO2 emission, 2018 is the base year, and we set a reduction target versus this year. SBT targets certification is given to us. And in 2080, the 12 million tons were emitted by us. And Scope 1 from our business activity and also the indirect emission from procured energy, Scope 2, combined both, there were 2 million tons, and we would like to reduce this by 50% by 2030. Introducing renewable energy and also the energy saving and fuel conversion are what we would like to do for this purpose. And Scope 1, Scope 2 excluded, and the Scope 3 only represented about 80% of the total. And out of them, 80% are from raw materials. So for Scope 3, our target is 24% reduction by 2030. So for raw materials, we are now considering what measures should be taken to reduce the emission from raw materials. And next is plastic. Reduce, material recycle are going to be promoted toward 2030. And also we are aiming at zero environmental spills and simple combustion. And plastic are important materials for packaging of food, but in their usage, product safety and quality should be secured. We will use plastic very strictly in a very strictly limited manner to the minimum application. And also in the Ajinomoto Group, the countries and region where we are operating, in those regions, we support social implementation of the necessary measures. And in Japan, nearly 500 companies and groups, including Kawasaki City, Clean Material Ocean Alliance is formed, and recycling activities are ongoing, and we are participating in that activity. Next is about the food loss. By 2050, from the receiving raw material to the customer delivery, food loss 50%, and also 2025 food loss reduction. By 2025, food loss from the material to the delivery, and the entire food loss reduction in the life cycle from 2050. And for this purpose, we reduce food losses and promote utilization. And also we are now considering how to measure the effect of our measures. And I would like to show some example. In the Ajinomoto Group, amino acid is produced by using natural resources like sugar canes. And the byproducts in that process has a lot of nutrition. So these can be converted into a good quality fertilizer so that we can run the biocycle. And in Thailand, this biocycle is further extended. The fermentation and microbial technology of Ajinomoto Group is used for supporting their agriculture. And there are 40 partners who have the same aspiration as ours, and we have built ecosystem together with them. And the cassava farmers, for example, we support them to improve their capability, and we monitor the diseases of the mosaic disease of the agricultural plants, and also together with municipality, we support insurance and financial support, and we have a wide range of activities in Thailand. And for ammonia production, the fossil fuel are used, and at high temperature, high pressure, large-scale production are done, and the transportation cost is also high. So cost-wise, this is putting a high load on the environment. And Professor Hosono of Tokyo Institute of Technology developed epoch-making catalyst, and ammonia new production method is produced, and we are promoting that method as well. And together with TIT, Tsubame DHP company is established, and that company is providing that catalyst. So energy usage can be reduced very much, and also the necessary amount of ammonia is produced where there is a demand, so that the transportation cost is not necessary. And also the renewable resources are used, so that the green ammonia is the target through that process. And that's it from Ajinomoto. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Toyosaki. Sorry for the limited time, but it's a very attractive attempt. Thank you very much for the introduction of them. And next is the Showa Denko chemical plastics cycle. Kuriyama-san, please.
Thank you for the introduction. So now I would like to make a presentation today. Well, thank you very much for this wonderful opportunity. And Showa Denko has been. So I would like to talk about the initiatives for chemical recycling, the support of recycling plastic resources by Showa Denko. So Showa Denko is located on the coastal area in Ogimachi and Ogawa. And Ogimachi, we have the gasification equipment. And also, so this is a background of why we started this initiative. So the plastic chemical cycle basically is to take out the hydrogen and to resolve the problems of plastic and global warming with a method that removes clean hydrogen from plastic. And before we started the plastic recycling, the current plant was operated on naphtha in 1968, and then we've dealt with a number of gases, and eventually we started working on the city gas, and then we started the plastic recycle using the ammonia. And we have the Showa Denko gas product. CO2 is made into a product, and the ammonia it is also provided as a raw material. And the biggest user of the ammonia is the denitrification in the thermal power plant for the NOx reduction, and which causes the acidification of the air, and so the ammonia is used for that purpose. And this is a material balance, and so from the waste plastic we get about 195 tons of plastic per day as labeled with this font, and we get about 30 tons of hydrogen per day, and we will then convert the hydrogen to ammonia, which is 175 tons per day. And we also provide the hydrogen through the hydrogen station as well. And the CO2 then is made into carbon gas and also the dry ice products. And there's a carbon gas used for carbonated drinks and fresh packs and promotion of a plant. We have obtained the EcoMark certification as well. And this is the overview of the crush molding equipment. And so each municipalities have the storage of the compressed bakes, and then we will fetch those compressed bales, and then we send it to the crusher, and then we make it into the volume reduced mold, and this is used for the treatment. And so this is the track record. In 2007 and 2003, we produced the 900,000 ton. The next year, it's going to exceed 1 million ton. And 2019 and 2020, the source of hydrogen, which is a raw material to the ammonium, the KPR ratio was exceeded 53%, deriving from the city gas. And from the METI and also Kawasaki City, we received the subsidiary, and we have lasting cycle of the good income. We are enjoying a stable income. We would like to continue with this business. And so the gasification equipment comprises of the low temperature and high temperature kiln or the furnace. And so the temperatures are indicated in the slides. And in the low temperature, we speed up the gasification, the furnace, and also in a high temperature, we will stop stop at the CO and take out the hydrogen from the process, and so there's no emission from this, and all of the hydrocarbons are used as the raw material. And so this is how the hydrogen is used, and we joined the METI demonstration project, and part of our activities is in the hydrogen station, and we confirmed that we satisfy the very tough criteria to serve for the hydrogen station. Another use of the hydrogen is to use the hydrogen for fuel cells in a hotel. However, this stopped on 6th of November, and this concluded as a demonstration project, but the hotel side made a request so that we will in place the new fuel cell, so that this hotel can advertise as the hydrogen-based hotel, and we very much appreciate their commitment. And although the station, so this project is stopped for now, but when this is operated, then I would like you to come and have a look. And so this is about the lettuce product, and because in hotels there's there's electricity and also the heat available, and in order to increase the heat efficiency and the utilization rate of the electric facilities, they are producing lettuce. And in November last year, with McDonald's, we worked on the circulation project, and the plastic material waste from the restaurants, and also production. This was brought into Showa Denko, and Mirai then will be filled with the hydrogen produced by Showa Denko, and then the Mirai will feed the motorcycle as a source of the hydrogen for their fuel cell motor. And then this is another demonstration with the East Japan Railway Company. Next year, there'll be a hybrid hydrogen car will be operated, and there'll be a hydrogen tank on the rooftop. And so this will be only run on the nighttime of the weekends, but then the Japan Rail will then give us the plastic to become the raw material for the hydrogen. So this is the circulation loop of the plastic material, and so we change the plastic that we receive from the citizens to the hydrogen, the carbon dioxide, and without the cooperation of the municipality and the citizens, we are not able to run this the cycle. Well, thank you very much for your attention. Thank you very much, Kuriyama-san.
Next is the fourth speaker from J&T Recycling Corporation. Its president, Tsuyoshi-san. I think he's one of the fathers of the Kawasaki, founding fathers of the Kawasaki Ecotown, and he has been engaged in the Kawasaki Ecotown for a long time. Mr. Tsuyoshi, please. Thank you very much. This is Tsuyoshi of J&T Recycling Corporation. Thank you very much for giving this opportunity to make my presentation. And today's I would like to talk about new efforts for recycling business. And we have been doing our businesses for long years in Kawasaki, but I would like to show some new efforts in our company. So first of all, I will introduce my company, and inside Kawasaki, we are doing some businesses, and I would like to present them. And also local energy for local consumption. And this is one of our activities, and I would like to introduce that to you. And also I will show some recent efforts. So first of all, our company outline. Originally, JFE Environment, and that is the original name of the company for doing recycling. And in April 2019, Tokyo Recycling Power, TEPCO's subsidiary, is combined with our business. And then we became J&T Recycling. So the T of J&T is Tokyo Electric Company. And now Chubu and Tokyo TEPCO are combined, and that become JERA, and JERA is also investing. JERA invests 36%, and the rest is provided by the other shareholder. And after the foundation of the company, we are covering nationwide regions except for Shikoku. But Keihin region is our core region for our business. Next slide, please. And this is our size of the business. 42 billion yen is our sales, and 40% of it are from incineration and power generation. And heat recovery is done for power generation. And the recycling business represents about 30% of the total sales. And the solution business is the rest. And other companies' recycling businesses are connected by using our solution. And next, so what are we doing in Kawasaki City? And on right top shows the Keihin district map, and JFE still is in the pink area. And Ogishima area, this is Yokohama City, and the right side is Kawasaki City area. And Mizue area had an old steel factory, and pet bottle and home appliance recycling facility are located. And nearby there is a Kawasaki Zero Emission Industrial Complex. And one of our businesses is a pet bottle recycling businesses. And as Showa Denko mentioned, bale are turned into flakes by crushing, and then after the flakes are made, pellets are made, and then the recycled PET bottles are created. And inside Kawasaki, we cover the process up to flake making. And in October this year, in Tsu City of Mie Prefecture, Kyoei J&T Recycling Corporation was established. And Kyowa Sangyo is a pet bottle recycling company, and together with that company, we have made a cycle. The waste PET bottle are converted into recycled PET bottle, and we have made that scheme. So bottle to bottle CO2. In this recycling process, we expected to cut CO2 emission by 60%. And the other business is home appliance recycling. TV, air conditioner, refrigerators, and washing machines are covered in our business. And aluminum and steel, so these are collected. And for the plastics, as much as possible, simple plastics are collected. And the mixed plastics, so the selection technology are necessary for covering mixed plastic, and we would like to take care of that sometime. Now the RPF is the current usage, and 780,000 units are recycled in our business per year. And next is local energy for local consumption. Let me explain this. J&J together with our parent company. On the left side, the incineration and biogas facility, power facility. These are our facility, and the power generated from those facilities are given to urban energy. And so this is a certain type of local energy for local consumption. And Showa Denko explained about the Kawasaki King Sky Front, Tokyo Ray Hotel, and 70%, as you see at the left bottom, J Biofood Recycle. This is a company between us and the JR, and this is using the energy. Showa Denko takes care of 30%, and 70% are given by us. And these are recent examples. I would like to show two cases. First of all, this is an initiative with Showa Denko, still under the investigation phase. And our incineration facility generates vapor, and that vapor is used by Showa Denko so that we can have a win-win benefits. And that feasibility is now investigated. And in the form of RPF, we would like to collaborate with Showa Denko. So now we are studying the feasibilities of these businesses. And the next one, our incineration capability is transferred to Malaysia. There is a conglomerate, Belgia, in Malaysia, and together with them, in the northern part of Kuala Lumpur, we invest in 30% in the new company for waste incineration. The dangerous waste incineration is what they do. So we would like to do more recycling business overseas, starting with this one. That's all. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Tsuyoshi.
So there's a mention of the international projects, and I can see that you're working on a wide range of the circular economy practices. Thank you very much. So the last speaker for today is Mr. Honda from UNEP to talk about the global scale circular economy. Mr. Honda, please start. Thank you very much, Professor Fujita. So I would like to switch a tone to present to you. At the beginning, Steve talked about the UNEP circular economy initiatives and also the international trend and direction. And I would like to talk about the challenges in regards to the circular economy. Now, why are they challenges? Well, as in the case of UNEP, the circular economy is the rule based in the Europe, and also there's some advanced initiatives also in Japan as well. So for the developed countries, there's been a lot of activities towards the 2030 net zero. And so I'm not worried so much about the Europe and Japan. There's enough motivation, the policies, legislation, and activities are already visible. And for the next 30 years, and so 2050, rather, not 2030, 2050 carbon neutral, I think will be almost achieved by the Europe or Japan. But one thing, however, comes up to our mind is, but what about other countries? For instance, in the UN, there are 193 member states, and of them, more than 120 are the developing countries. And can they actually materialize the circular economy and in the future? So there's no answer to it, but we think that would be a challenge. So today, I would like to share with you the sense of challenge and the problems. So as a next step, for instance, some advanced cases like Japan, with all these advanced technology for carbon technology, I would like to propose the issue. What countries like Japan can do to help the countries that may face challenges and materialize in the circular economy. So I would like you to look at this chart. And so from 2020 to 2050, so this is about the municipal waste generation estimation. And Stephen said that there's the 20 tons of the solid municipal waste is now being generated. So then by 2050, with this calculation, with the current rate, it's going to be 2.6 billion tons. And there are 4 types of waste. Rather the economies, the high-income countries, upper-middle-income countries, lower-middle-income countries, and low-income countries. And so this is the proportion of the generation of the municipal solid waste from these different brackets, different income level. And then this is the generation by the high-income countries and others. And so this 1/3 will be generated by the high-income countries, and the 2/3 will be generated by others. And when we look at the population ratio, about 15% of the population accounts for the high-income countries, and the rest is others. And so basically, when we talk about the circular economy, net zero, and carbon neutrality, so the concept when the countries which can actually materialize it will be in the countries in blue, the high-income countries. And also there's been some movements in other countries such as Malaysia, but other countries are in a state of say 30 to 50 years ago, of what Japan used to be. And so in order for them to in order for all the countries to aim for the 2050 net zero, when it becomes the de facto standard, then the challenge will rely with the countries in others bracket. And the reality is 1 to 2. So the 2/3 of the municipal waste is generated from the developing countries, and in the low-income countries, 90% are. And when we look at the recycling rate, the recycle rate is about 40%, and in some countries only 15%. So for the de facto standard of 2050 carbon neutrality, what can we do? We received a lot of opinions, and also through the policies and technology, we would like everyone to take part in sharing ideas, so that we would like to work on those ideas. And UNEP also, in the circular economy, we are summarizing our ideas, and we would like to share this with you when the time is appropriate. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Honda. So we have, he has presented the very introduction of the panel discussion, and we have had 5 presentations, and after this we would like to have a panel discussion. And this is a request to the audience. If you would like to ask a question, please put your questions in the YouTube chat box. And as soon as possible, please ask your question with the speaker that you would like to ask your question. And about the schedule, we originally had a tight schedule, and to 15:30 is the expected time to close. But if possible, we would like to ask you to allow us to extend the time for about 15 minutes. And in the presentations, the circular economy has been discussed, and production and consumption, and hydrogen, ammonia, and energy. So those are the vehicles for circularity. And what Mr. Steve mentioned is being implemented in Kawasaki gradually. But to generalize this situation, in the developed countries first, we need to realize these initiatives in a step-by-step manner. And the circular economy and net zero are being pursued. So it's not a triple planetary crisis. However, both of them need to be realized. But for this purpose, there are some challenges. And we would like to have 2 rounds in the panel discussion. So what is done in Kawasaki and the targets by 2030. The Japan's target is 46% CO2 reduction by 2030. This is Japan's commitment. And also this should be read to the Japan's international contribution to the world. So first we would like to have a comment from Ito-san and the people from companies and Honda-san. So the theme for the round 1 is by 2030, what can be done and what are your targets? So Toyosaki-san, Kuriyama-san, and the Tsuyoshi-san, and after Ito-san. And finally, we would like to have a comment by Honda-san. So first, let's discuss the targets by 2030. So Ito-san first, please. Yes, thank you very much. 2030 is actually close. And today, again, Kawasaki City and companies' initiatives are found to be very great. And we would like to add a lot of practices into our best practice list. And it's important for us to send this information worldwide in the global warming. In order to decarbonize, the cities are important players. So decarbonization forum are being held, and the same initiative are happening in circular economy. And in G20, the summit meeting, it's a deliverable circular city. That phrase was mentioned clearly. So in order to realize circular economy, circular cities are a good enabler. For example, Kawasaki City, I would like Kawasaki City to take the lead in that activity. And there are no circular city yet, so I hope that the Kawasaki City will be the first. And following the zero carbon circular economy declaration is what we need to consider. That's the point of Ito-san. Thank you very much. So next, Toyosaki-san, please. Thank you. In Ajinomoto Group, there are 2 outcomes that we set by 2030. And 50% environmental load reduction is one of them. CO2 emission reduction, plastic waste reduction are also involved. And zero plastic waste is our target, and also food loss is another target. These are quite interrelated. For example, in the upstream, suppliers and the consumers. So we need to collaborate with them to achieve our targets. And all these themes are interrelated closely. In order to achieve our outcome, the ecosystem needs to be created as a very foundation. It's important. So by 2030, we would like to create such a platform. Thank you very much. Thank you. So Asia is also one of your targets, right? Yes, we would like to have a global perspective. Now, thank you. Then Kuriyama-san, please. So first of all, as a company, the fossil fuel reduction by 30-40%, that's our target. And Showa Denko, KPR, Kawasaki plastic recycling technology is what we have. So we generate hydrogen without using fossil fuel. That's our target. And about the CO2, the oil refinery is declining. So the CO2 for drinking others are still necessary. So ammonia and CO2 with certification should be developed, and this technology should be sent worldwide. That's all. Thank you very much. So zero carbon hydrogen ammonia supply chain can be created from Kawasaki. Thank you. And Tsuyoguchi-san, please. In my presentation, in the tagline, Miracle Recycle, that was mentioned in my presentation. And that's what we said in our company. As a recycling provider, we are receiving a lot of inquiries from our customers. And out of them, toward 2030, we would like to realize two things. First of all, horizontal recycling, PET to PET, PET bottle to PET bottle recycling. That is what I mentioned in my presentation. And there are similar requirements to this, and blue sheet to blue sheet recycling, that is one of the inquiries. And also there are others. And we are not sure how much we can meet those requirements, but anyway, the horizontal recycling from one material to be returned to that same one. Particularly, we would like to address plastics. And local energy for local consumption, the Denwari, that's the name of our system. By using that, the waste-based power generation is done. The waste is used as a material for power generation, and the generated power is returned to the original supplier of that waste. That scheme is what we would like to realize. And by 2030, compact scheme for local energy and for local consumption, that is a major challenge in Japan, I think. And horizontal recycling, that requires a long-distance transportation, but we would like to focus on these two activities in our business operations. That's it. Thank you very much. So now, Mr. Honda. There are rich countries and developing countries, and there is an economic gap between them. And in what Japan can do toward 2030, please make a comment on that perspective. Thank you very much. 2030. I agree with Ito-san. 2030 comes very soon in terms of the waste management and circular economy. 2030 is near, and Japan is making progress more and more. That's important. And also for waste management and circular economy, there are gaps between advanced countries like Japan and low-income countries in Asia and Africa. But that gap is becoming wider, but the bottom-up approach can be taken with the leadership of Japan. That step-by-step activities are necessary. And 2030, until then, how much technologies can we provide and can we support in terms of the policies? But at least in terms of the environment and SDG, first, we need to be aware of the year 2030. And then after that, we need to start our activities toward 2050.
And so that's what we think as far as the developing countries are concerned. And then, so by making the mechanism to allow the more circular economy, while attaining the most of the SDGs by 2030, then we can build upon it the systems for and the framework for circular economy. Once again, I would like to talk to Ito-san about this circular economy and how to make a mechanism. So there will be the international collaboration from the bottom-up approach, and that would be quite helpful. And so we'd like to go to another question. So 2030 is coming very close, and towards the zero carbon in 2050, the industries and also the major cities such as Kawasaki, how they will respond to it is very much calling a lot of attention across the world. And so what is the strategy and also your aptitude for the future towards 2050? So first, I would like to start from Tsuyoshi-san, Kuriyama-san, and then Toyosaki-san from the private sectors. And then I would like to ask Honda-san from UNEP. And in closing, I would like to ask Ito-san to give us a message from the Japanese government. So then Tsuyoshi-san, could you start? Thank you very much. So in April 2019, my company was renewed, and there are 4 business policies. And the fourth business policy actually clearly says that in Southeast Asia, where the waste problem is externalized, we're going to utilize the know-how from Japan to help them. And so that's our fourth pillar in government. And also our project in Malaysia is the first step in doing so. In addition to Malaysia, we would like to expand on the projects elsewhere in the Southeast Asia. What's important is the partners, the local partners, so they will work with us. And in 2030, I'm sure that the Japanese circular society will be very much progressed in my imagination. And so beyond that, we would like to help the Southeast Asian countries one by one meeting their individual demands to help them attain the circular economy. So in future, we would like to have the joint the benefit enjoyed in between Japan and Southeast Asia by sharing the know-how and human resources. And Japan is facing the diminishing population and the aging, and with the use of AI, it is said that in Japan, the more automatization will be well progressed. But then there will be some. We would like to also invite the workers from South Asia so that we can help each other. That's all. So the world actions and this the Asian actions has been elaborated. Thank you very much for that, Mr. Kuriyama. So across Showa Denko, we too are aiming for CO2 net zero. And in regards to this, our technology, CO2 demand will decline, but then there will be a limited resource, and so we will only be able to produce the about 10 times more of the CO2, and so in order to secure this technology, we would like to make sure that we'll have the fixing technology other than the CCUS. The price will be the key. And so carbon zero to carbon negative, I'm sure that the chemical companies will work towards that. Thank you. Toyosaki-san. So Ajinomoto Group in 2050, we would like to achieve the sustainable food system. That's our mission. In particular, Ajinomoto Group is active in Southeast Asia, North America, and South America. We have main factories in these regions. And from the raw material perspective, the local population is very important. And also the value chain is very important for us to share the profit. So that food system as a whole needs to be sustainable. Otherwise, we will not be able to continue our business. So this will be the solid base of our future businesses. Thank you very much. So from your presentation, there was a mention of the food system and value chain now being international, and you have the consumers in view, and so there's a clue for the circular economy. So with this, Honda-san, 2050, what is the role and expectation for Kawasaki in Japan? Thank you. So one thing in terms of the definition to answer this question, and so when people say that we aim for net zero and circular economy, people tend to think of the advanced or sophisticated technology. But when we think about what we can do for the developing countries, how simple we can, how simple and how local the technology deployment can be is going to be very important, so that such a technology or industry will grow as the main industry. And so the simple approach is very important. So this EU's most or cutting-edge initiatives is becoming so sophisticated. So we wonder how we can simplify such an approach. And with the Kawasaki City, so Kawasaki has been involved in the very simple steps in addressing the pollution issues one by one, and also they maximized on the use of network to sophisticate the approach to improve and maintain the good environment. And so such a there's a good track record in Kawasaki, and so this can be utilized for the combination between the circular economy and net zero. And then with that, we expect that the Kawasaki City will help other cities and world. So I think the platform may be built to share such knowledge. I'm sure there are some difficult challenges, but establishing processes rather than just aiming for the good results is very important. So, in closing of the Mr. Ito, please elaborate on the Ministry of the Environment expectation of for the Kawasaki City for net zero and also the circular economy. So, I am very happy to hear that all these corporations have the high aptitude to assist people in other countries through their businesses for the circular economy and net zero. And Kawasaki City certainly is recognized the circular economy city. So I hope that in the municipality level and the corporate level, these activities should be shared beyond our borders. And so Ministry of the Environment has been working on this topic, taking the lead. But what's important here is to communicate with the recipients of the assistance so that there will be a good communication in place. And so for the corporations and the municipalities to get involved in such international assistance, MOE would like to also assist such assist and support such initiatives. And so it looks like the panel discussion is becoming more and more interesting, but I'm afraid the time is running out. So with this, I would like to end the panel discussion. Thank you once again to the panelists. Next, as I said, we will have time until 3:45 maximum. So we have several questions already in the chat, and I hope that. So I received 3 questions from the Secretariat. The first question: when the SMEs are working on the decarbonization, what can they do in their supply chain? I believe that the decarbonization and circular economy will be a must. And what can SMEs do? So I would like the Ito-san to answer this question. And also, is it possible that Tsuyoshi-san will also respond? So Ito-san, it's a maximum 2 minutes to answer the question. Thank you. And there are 2 more questions.
Okay. And for small and medium-sized businesses, targeting them, the decarbonization facility introduction is supported financially, and our ministry has provided such assistance. So please make use of that. And what should they do? That might be another challenge. And together with Keidanren and the members of the Circular Economy Partnership, and that has been held, and SME companies also can participate in that partnership so that you can exchange opinions and information with other companies and the government. And so we would like to think about what to do together. Thank you very much. And Mr. Toyosaki, please. Thank you very much. For decarbonization, it's important for the entire area or region to address. And for the circular economy, plastics need to be addressed by everyone. So for that part, there is an initiative, CLOMA, and that is one of those efforts. So in a collaboration scheme, we think we can share what we need to do among members of the product chain. Yes, so we can collaborate with companies in different industries in that process. Thank you very much. And the other, Showa Denko and J&T, the following question is given. And what's the benefits of the collaboration between companies, and what are the challenges between collaboration between companies, if you have? So first, Mr. Kuriyama, could you please answer this question? Yes, thank you. And Tsuyoshi-san of J&T has made some proposals, and we are collaborating with J&T. And Tokyo Lei fuel cell is introduced, and Kawasaki City for business partnership provides consulting services, and the success rate is very high. And until recently, one of the companies only enjoy the benefit. However, a win-win relationship is important for success. So both parties need to present win-win scenario. And for CO2, if we address together, then we can have a win-win relationship. I think that the success rate has become improved compared with before. Thank you very much. Tsuyoshi-san, please. And win-win relationship, that's a very basic for collaboration. And Showa Denko and our factory and our offices are close in Kawasaki City, so that the transportation distance and the fuel, RPF, don't have so much added values, so that we would like to reduce transportation cost as much as possible to supply these materials. And that's a major point for win-win relationship. And they are close from our facilities so that we can have a feasible business together. And on the other hand, when we look back the past, for example, Showa Denko and steel companies should have built more relationship, or could have built more relationship. But factories and steel factories, for example, there is a maintenance shutdown period of one facility, and then the steam supply, it stopped during that period, and then the other party has a trouble. So win-win could be possible. However, the timing of both factories don't match with each other. That's a difficult part. Thank you very much. Together with Tsuyoshi-san, I'm helping the Kawasaki working group of companies, and I heard that there is a difficulty in collaboration between companies of different industries. But under such circumstances, for zero carbon and circular economy, new business model could be generated from companies who are located closely with each other. And the third question is about the possibility and potential of waterfront area of Kawasaki City. And the time is limited. However, let me answer this question about this. And I hope that other panelists will send their information on a different occasion. And in this industrial complex, there is a very dense situation of companies, and it's quite rare in Japan. And fossil fuel has been mainly used, but now they are trying to pursue zero carbon and low carbon circular type of industrial model can be created in this Kawasaki district. That's one potential. And secondly, in the project chain, the Kawasaki can collaborate with consumer or consumption area, as Tsuyoshi-san mentioned. There is a wide market of 30 million population in the greater Tokyo area. So Kawasaki and Eco-Industry Park are gathering attention in that sense. As Ito-san mentioned, at G7, G20, Industrial Symbiosis, Eco Park are gathering attention. And in G20, in the past, Kawasaki case was presented. So city and industries collaborate with each other, and that can be a new function and value in terms of the environment, and Kawasaki can play a role in that process. And reorganization of industrial complexes are necessary. And in 1970s, new industrial complexes were built based on the government initiative. And for zero carbon, the industry complex should be built making use of urban functions, and like Tokyo Bay functionality can be utilized in this area. So the first, we need to show good practices, otherwise those measures will not be reflected in national government policies and Asian policies. And we would like to have this forum next year as well. And Honda-san and also we would like to continue to help this initiative. And we are running out of time. So as a coordinator, let me close this panel discussion. I think you would like to express your comments more and more, but time is limited, and thank you for your participation. So first of all, for the audience, I would like to express our appreciation. And also, within this limited time, these 5 panelists make presentation and comments in a punctual manner. Thank you very much for your participation. And lastly, the Kawasaki City, the Secretariat, is providing this program both in Japanese and English. So they are running this great international framework, and I would like to extend my appreciation to them for this forum. And this is the end of my part. So I would like to give this facilitation to Matsuura-san. Professor Fujita and all the panelists, thank you very much. So lastly, we would like to have closing remarks by Mr. Shuji Fujita, the President of Kawasaki Environmental Research Institute of Environmental Bureau of Kawasaki City. My name is Fujita, the President of Kawasaki Environmental Research Institute. Thank you very much for participating in Kawasaki International Eco Business Forum today. And in the beginning, we had a keynote speech by Mr. Stephen Stone of UNEP. And as he mentioned, the various environmental issues like climate change are interrelated. And in order to solve these issues, all stakeholders need to collaborate with each other. And that is quite important. And also that's the purpose of this forum. And we hope that this forum will provide the opportunity to start such collaboration. And again, we would like to express our sincere appreciation to UNEP for its video messages and all the speakers of today's session for their participation and all the audience for their viewing. And this concludes my remarks. And thank you very much for your participation today. This concludes the 18th Kawasaki International Eco-Business Forum. And today's video will be distributed on an on-demand basis of the period of Kawasaki International Eco-Tech Fair. Thank you very much.